The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, police on the defensive after a startling number of junior and senior police officers are charged with sexual assaults. Tonight, still reeling from a major scandal, how did the police force find itself down this slippery slope? Also tonight, family involved in deadly violence against each other. Tonight, the Urban Renewal Division of the Royal Bahamas Police Force speaks to the latest string of murders that saw acts of violence between loved ones. And it's an issue that continues to take twists and turns. Admittedly, Beyond the Headlines tried to stay out of it. However, the new events deserve looking into. New photos showing what appears to be bruises on the young boy's body. Remember from last week, that whole thing that went viral? Well, they have surfaced late this afternoon. And the child's grandmother, of course, the latest in the allegations of abuse concerning the grandson of Cabinet Minister Miles LaRota. The child's grandmother was to have appeared here this evening, but we just were informed that because of everything that took place this afternoon, she has lost her voice. But we will certainly obviously bring that to you later in tonight's show. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. It's great to have you along this evening. Well, in recent months, the Royal Bahamas Police Force has stumbled as a result of one scandal after another, those scandals concerning very senior officers. In recent weeks, the scandals took a dark and unexpected turn when first 4 officers were charged with a gang rape, another senior officer, head of an entire division, charged with rape, and today another officer had to appear before the courts to face charges of rape. Some say it shows a force out of control and that something must be done to get it in hand. Well, this evening, we're going to get to the bottom of what's happening on the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines, Deputy Commissioner of Police Layman Delaveau and Assistant Superintendent of Police Mikhail Pinder. Good evening to both of you. Thank you so much for joining me here on Beyond the Headlines.
And good evening to you, Shanique.
Good evening, Shanique.
Yes, sir, and thank you, of course, ASP. I want to start with you, Deputy Commissioner. What's happened of late that the Royal Bahamas Police Force seemed to have just slipped and slid and found itself at the very spot that they're trying to defend citizens from?
Good evening again to you, and thank you very much for inviting us here this evening. I wish to advise members of the public that from time to time, police officers find themselves on the wrong side of the law. However, I must say to the Bahamian people and to members of the public, we are investigating matters and we are dealing with these matters as they come before us. The interesting thing is that we are one of the very few organizations who deals with our officers and deals with them very, very quickly. Now, you indicated that a number of matters were reported, and this is in fact true. However, I must say, there is always the presumption of innocence. And so while we cannot discuss specifically the facts of those cases, once we find matters reported to us, and there is a reasonable set of evidence, reasonable I say, then we will go to proceed to forward charges. Again, there was always the presumption of innocence. But Shanique, again,
yes, sir.
I wish to say to you, we deal with our officers There are many cases where members of the public also report matters against police officers. We do not go to the public and say the matter was reported and was false. Nonetheless, we continue to do every single day dealing with police officers. Again, these police officers spend 6 months in the police training college.
But we'll get to that in a minute,
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner. But let's just talk about the fact that it's quite disturbing that the police officers seem not to be able to keep their zippers up and have no control over their emotions, violating women, reportedly, allegedly, in the worst way. When you talk about violating women, charges of rape and sexual assault, some in the very vehicles that they are supposed to be out policing the streets with, I mean, that is quite disturbing.
Again, Shanique, I must say to you, and I accept that some allegations are made. This Deputy Commissioner will not defend any wrongdoing. The Commissioner of Police, Clayton Leroy Fernanda, will not defend any wrongdoing by any police officer. But I want to make it publicly clear that these are allegations, and of course, the Commissioner has always indicated, let the chips fall where they may. So there is a process. The process is the matter is taken before the courts adjudicate these matters, and on completion, if they are found guilty, then they will be dealt with. The point is, you must certainly give the police force, Clayton Fernanda, Lehman Delaveau, and the senior executive leadership team, the credit that we have sought to move very quickly in dealing with police officers for alleged offenses that they have committed.
You certainly have, and you deserve an applause for that. You don't appear to be trying to cover up anything
We
or
will
hide
not.
anything.
We will
Has
not.
the senior command lost control?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We are 100% in control of the police officer, and this demonstrates, we charge criminals on a daily basis. This demonstrates that the leadership of the police force is ready, willing, able, and capable to deal with police officers when they go afoul of the law. Now, let me also say to you, Shanique, there are hundreds of very good, decent, hard-working police officers who continue to deport themselves well in this country. I applaud those police officers. We encourage them to continue to do well. The one or two bad apples that we find, we deal with them very, very quickly, and we move on.
Deputy Commissioner, let's talk about one of the incidents that still has the force reeling. The force is still trying to repair its image. It's been really hurt very hard, particularly with the officer, the senior officer that was once in charge of the CID unit there. Any updates on that matter? That is Chief Superintendent of Police Michael Johnson. People are wondering where that stands.
So let me firstly say, any matter that is reported against a police officer, more particularly of a high-ranking police officer like Chief Superintendent Michael Johnson, does not do well for the Royal Bahamas Police Force. We accept that. We fully accept that. The challenge is that, again, we are dealing with this matter, and we are dealing with this quickly. As Commissioner indicated, that this matter is being investigated by Assistant Commissioner Dwight Adley and a team of investigators.
And you all feel certain that the police can investigate itself, that
Oh,
they can
absolutely.
investigate someone of such senior rank?
Shanique, for years and years and years in this country, police officers have dealt with their own. We have no difficulty with dealing with our own. When police officers enter the police force, they understand that they have a role to play. And they also understand that if they go afoul of the law from day one, we will deal with those officers. We have no difficulty. And we have demonstrated this time and time again. And so with respect to Michael Johnson's matter, the Commissioner has indicated that this matter will be disposed of, or this matter will come to a head. The public will know the findings of this matter by year's end. I do believe, based on the information that I have, that this matter will be, the public will be informed of the conclusion of this investigation that involves Michael Johnson.
Or are we still looking at the inclusion of those English officers and I think members of the FBI? I'm not sure.
It is my understanding that they are still in collaboration with Assistant Commissioner Dwight Adley, and I have no doubt to believe anything other than they are in constant communication.
Yes, sir. You know, all is not lost. We certainly, of course, those are issues and questions that the Bahamian people want answers to. And, you know, they really deserve the answers. But I want to talk about this wonderful sort of light at the end of the tunnel and this wonderful rainbow that the force is experiencing. This week, you all will graduate 200 new recruits. You are going to talk about training and what these officers are told, getting back to the fact that officers find themselves on the wrong side of the law, and it's quite disheartening to know that you cannot trust every officer that walk up to you, whether in plain clothes or a uniform. Let's just talk about the training that takes place and this sort of reinforcement of the message of, listen, men, particularly y'all and women, you've got to be the lighthouses in this nation when it comes to upholding the law. Let's talk about training and the reinforcement of values in that training.
So again, on Wednesday and Friday of this week, a total of just under 200, 199 young men and women. We say they are the finest sons and daughters of this Bahamas, will enter into the ranks of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. So let me say to you, we've had vigorous training to ensure we are letting these officers know, again, the do's and don'ts of the organization. This is 6 months of hard training, understanding the law, understanding procedures, and understanding that the areas that you cannot and must not go, or if you go into those areas, you will find yourselves on the other side of the law. The next thing is, we have also put into place, effective almost immediately, Commissioner Clayton Fernanda and the team have put into place an ongoing training for these officers, where we will have a number of professionals to come in and to continue to encourage these young people. These are our sons and our daughters. These are our children. And we want the best for these young people. And we will do every single thing to make these young people succeed.
And you know, I'll tell you this, us, Joe Public, we are applauding the police and standing beside the police, because after all, what is a society without those boundaries of law and order and the men and women who enforce them? You know, Assistant Superintendent Pinder, let's just talk about, we see what's taking shape, another troubling trend of family members not being able to get it together with crime. We have 2 other senior officers in CID coming up after the break, but let's just talk about the work that you are doing to try and reach those youth, as the Deputy Commissioner talked about, in urban renewal and urban renewal policing, in fact, and what's happening there. What are some trends and disturbing trends you're noticing that you all are trying to tackle head on?
Well, some of the disturbing trends that we have noticed, especially as of late, as it pertains to the recent homicides that would have occurred, is a lack of conflict resolution, a lack of persons not knowing when to walk away and choose their battles. And so from the urban renewal perspective, we have been going into the schools, we have been going into the churches, we have been invited by civic groups to come in and talk about conflict resolution. But what we have noticed, which is most important, is that it's going to take a village. What we see going on is not a police thing. It is not a government issue. It is a Bahamian issue.
It's an us issue.
Yes, and so it is going to take all of us collectively coming together in an effort to try and resolve what we see going on in our country and within our communities.
Talk about that, bringing those groups together. You said Church, Civic Bahamas, and other partners. I mean, how is that going? Because truly, there has to be some intervention made. And as you said, it just can't be the police making it. Every stakeholder has to come and assist in making this intervention into families, into troubled families, into people who can't control their emotions, and you know, just all of that.
Well, again, from the police officer's perspective, and especially in urban renewal, what we have done is we have reached out to these various partners, all of us coming together within the schools, within the churches, and trying to figure out ways as to how it is that we can minimize conflict. Conflict has been around forever, and it will be here even after we are gone. And so what we try to do is try to minimize these issues that we see happening in our communities, and that is to partner with the churches, with the schools, and to see how best we can minimize these issues.
You know, I want you to answer first then, the Deputy Commissioner, because I want to ask about, you know, the troubling video that went viral recently where we saw some teenage boys sexually assaulting another teenage boy. Certainly that type of behavior that you must be meeting up on, ASP. You must be meeting up on that. How do you teach the kids respect for one another and boundaries?
Shanaik, it goes back to the home. What we have noticed is that a lot of our children are being overly exposed and unexperienced. And so that means that we have to come together, like I said, we have to come together collectively, speak with the parents, speak with the teachers within the schools, the churches, all of us coming together to see how best we can honestly minimize the issues or the incidents that we see reoccurring with our young people. But everyone has to be held accountable, because if we don't, all of us are going to be affected at the end of the day.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
Deputy Commissioner, any arrests in that, or how is the police sort of approaching that issue?
I'm told that some persons were arrested. I think they went, from my understanding, they may have went to court, or they were in the process of being taken to the courts. But here again, I want to stress the importance of parents speaking to their children. There is a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Nowadays, you cannot speak to another neighbor's child whether or not you are right or wrong. You may very well see someone come to abuse you as a result of speaking to their child. We see it very often in the schools where the teachers penalize the children or discipline the children, and parents come in the schools to fight the teachers. We have a serious problem in this country, and unless parents take what is their responsibility and do what they know is right, we will continue to see this kind of thing. And Shanique, unfortunately, many of these youngsters enter into the police force.
And so that's how you also have to deal with that mindset as well.
Why we have to deal with this mindset.
Yeah, yes. I tell you, I thank you very much. I wish we had more time to talk, but you hear the police tonight not at all holding back, not refusing any questions, answering all of the questions that many of you still ponder about, and also obviously very plain speaking in the fact that they are holding themselves accountable, and any officer who finds him or herself on the wrong side of the law as they continue to protect and serve. We're going to speak with the officers of the Criminal Investigation Department right after this and get some updates on some of those homicides that happened, the troubling homicides that happened, including one just yesterday. This is Beyond the Headlines. We're back right after this.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
Hi, this is Ryan Payne from Ryan Payne Fitness with a health tip brought to you by IL Fit Fest. Tip number 1, consistency is key. Start small and build momentum from there. It may mean starting with a 30-minute walk every other day, but once you start, you get the ball rolling. Tip number 2, you fail to plan and you plan to fail. It may mean prioritizing meal prep the night before to make sure you ensure that you have your meals for that day, rather than going out there and buying food on the go. Come out to IL Fit Fest down at the University of the Bahamas, November 16th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'll be there, so make sure you're there.
Join us Saturday, November 16th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., University of the Bahamas grounds for IL Fit Fest. Be on time to take advantage of over $10,000 in giveaways and health screenings powered by Eating Well. Supervised Kids Play Zone also available.
Get ready to win Lucky Bucks. Wherever you see this taxi, flag it down.
The boy hard, beating so hard, I will be hard, I'm looking for my first contestant to ride in the Lucky Taxi. You walk in the taxi, you got to do the Lucky Walk, Oh, thanks. Man, thank you, sir. 85 times 2 is how much, brother? You only win $170, brother.
I never expected to win as much as I win.
Very excited when the gentleman picked me to ride inside the taxi.
So if I had to choose a game that would stay, it would be Island of Taxi.
You could be next on the Island Lucky Taxi.
Eating Well has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madeira Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay eating well.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
With the homicide count around 103, 104 for the year, the question is just how safe are our communities and our streets, our homes even, as you have seen a recent trend of violence, deadly violence happening between family members. It's something that the officers of the Criminal Investigation Department are just obviously giving more focused attention to. And this evening we are joined by the officer in charge of CID, Superintendent Philip Davis, and one of his members of his team, Sergeant DeAndre Gadet. Good evening to you, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me here on Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening, Shanique. Glad to be here.
Superintendent Davis, I'll just go right to it. We see what's going on. It appears as though from one level of crime or one type of crime to the next, you all are now having to scratch your head and wonder what's happening in households, in families, and what's going on. I'll start by asking, just how safe are our streets and our communities right now?
Well, a pleasant good evening, Bahamas. Good evening, Shanique. The Bahamas is a safe place to be and to live and to visit. We do have incidents of crime like any other country in the world, but we do our best to solve whatever incidents that may occur. Mm-hmm. And so generally the Bahamas is a safe place to be.
How concerning is it for this trend that we referred to in the first segment and the one that I referred to a moment ago, where there's already the criminal element that's happening, but now families are unable to get a hold of their emotions and to walk away from whatever the conflict is?
Yes, it is indeed a disturbing trend that we are noticing and that we are seeing occurring. And when it does happen, it is not a good feeling to even investigators within the Criminal Investigation Department, because we realize that is at least two families that are affected. You have the person who has died, and then you also have the person who is going to be charged. And so when you look at the incidents where children are involved, that really is concerning to us.
That's extremely concerning. I mean, absolutely it is. You know, Sergeant Cadet, I know that you all have been singing this now for quite some time, but more ever than now, or more now than ever before, it is really something to not just see as a buzzword. Conflict resolution. Well, 2 words. Conflict resolution. Let's just talk about how important that is, because, I mean, when you are called to a scene and you see the bodies being rolled out on a stretcher, and I don't mean taken to the hospital, but the end of life, because of lack of ability to resolve conflicts, that certainly, of course, disrupts, as Superintendent Davis says, or said, family, community, lives, just a whole disruption.
Right, Ms. Miller, and conflict resolution is extremely important. As you just stated, once there is issues between you and others, there are points in time where everyone is interrupted. Everyone is affected by it. You have both sides of the family that is affected, and then it is important to ensure that you communicate with others. There are many instances where simple conflict resolution can properly ensure that these matters are resolved, as opposed to picking up a weapon.
Now, officers, I want to ask you, what do you think is driving this level of violence, though? I mean, yes, it's nothing new. However, to see it as happened as rapidly as it's happened, what's driving this, where we are seeing now the homicide count includes family-on-family violence?
Well, in many cases, families, there are times where these things are boiling over a point in period in time, and far too often we choose to keep things to ourselves, and as opposed to assisting others. There comes a time where we must step up, we must play our part, and we have to step in to.
So when you say we,
matters.
what are you trying to say? If somebody,
I'm speaking about family members.
Right, if they see.
There are many cases where we see things escalating, and we refuse to get involved, because we now live in a society where everyone wants to keep to themselves.
And rightly so, officer. I mean, people ain't playing around with rock no more, which is dangerous, but you know, there's other things they pulling out now, Sergeant.
Well, I think that you're absolutely correct. However, when it comes to family members, you know, individuals that we grow up with, everyone has someone in their life that they listen to, that they cling to. And once you are that person, I think that you have a duty to step up and be that individual.
Yes, now, what was stunning and quite shocking, we want an update, if you can, on the matter where 2 brothers-in-law, I mean, I don't think it's ever been reported before, a story like this, they actually killed each other. Is that still an ongoing investigation?
Yes, the matter is still under investigation. Up to this point, the autopsy have been completed in both matters. And so we are in a position to state that the second person who died was consistent with a person being choked. The first person reported was chopped with a cutlass. And so that matter is being readied.
Wait, Sergeant, I mean, Superintendent, you were saying the first gentleman who police met unalive when they got there was chopped. That's how he met his end.
What we can say is that 2 persons had an altercation.
Yes.
And as a result, that became violent. A cutlass was introduced. Okay, the person who was chopped with the cutlass, he then in turn, based on our investigation, he choked the other person. And as a result of that, both persons end up eventually dying. And so we still have some other persons that we would want to see in the matter. And so we're going to complete all of our investigations, and then that matter will be forwarded to the Department of Public Prosecutions, where they will make a final decision on the outcome of the matter.
Wow, was it a domestic matter in terms of one of the gentlemen trying to defend his sister for some issue, over some issue?
We cannot say that information.
Yes, let's look at the other issue. Again, we're talking about family on family violence that has turned deadly and really has just driven up the murder count for 2024, unfortunately. Let's talk about just last week, a few days ago, the Baintown matter, where between an uncle and a nephew.
Well, once again, as I stated prior, in many of these cases that we see where these are instances where they're happening over a period of time. And so it takes communication. We must ensure that we communicate with each other. There are times where we must learn how to compromise and be a bigger person and walk away. Because at the end of the day, the life that you save could be your own.
So, Sergeant, what are you saying? That this was something broiling between the two men for some time, and it just got to that very deadly end?
Yeah, I'm speaking generally as it relates to in general cases. Now, generally speaking, we must ensure that we quell our conflicts with each other.
You ain't gonna get nothing out of him, mate. I just knew it. Superintendent, you gonna add anything?
No, that matter is still under investigation, and so we really cannot disclose it.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, yesterday, sir, and gentlemen, yesterday, we are understanding some dispute between a tenant and the landlord resulted in one of them being stabbed fatally. What is the situation there?
Well, the stage where we're at in the investigation is that we know that somebody died, which is who we believe to be the landlord of that housing facility. The person who we believe did the harm to him, we have a person in custody with respect to it. We're still doing the investigation, and at the end of the investigation, a decision will be made.
Was there some retaliation that happened today or yesterday?
Well, we know that the person who we have in custody reference to the matter, he was attacked. We cannot say at this particular time if it was as a result of a retaliation, but we do have somebody who is in custody regard to the matter who was attacked by other persons.
Let's just talk about and shift as we come towards the holiday season, warning persons to be on guard and also to be smart. If you have a friend or a loved one who is out on bail for any kind of offense, who is known to have committed offenses, because we have seen also what drove up this year's murder count is retaliation killings, street justice. Can you speak to that and how that's now become all too common and regular on the streets?
Well, what it boils down to conflict. Persons are unable to take last, as the older days used to say. No one wants to take the last. And so we would encourage persons to seek help where you have a conflict with somebody. Do not try to take matters into your own hands. Don't allow your family to take matters into your own hands, because chances are you will end up either losing that family member to either violence, or you lose that family member either to being incarcerated. And so I would encourage persons that if you see something brewing, then you go and you try to get that person some help. Or if you are that person involved in something that is brewing, you ought to seek help yourself.
Sergeant?
Yes, Shani. In speaking with what Mr. Davis stated, it's important that you seek help with each other, that you be a family.
But these criminals you're talking to, though, what for family? Like they seriously ain't checking for you all in that regard. They out to get who they out to get. And I want to hear you tell people stop catching rides with another person, stop hanging out with somebody who they know may be of a shady character at this time. Because that's, a doctor said to me recently, boy, it's so unfortunate that they had a loved one who was up for bail or something, but none of the family want to be near that person, and rightly so, because why? That person could very well attract unwanted attention to them. I think you have to be that candid.
Well, Shani, truth be told, there are individuals in our lives. We understand and we know the type of life that they're involved in, and we have to understand that there are times when we may have to let them know that, they have to go and stay a different way. In cases like that, we have to ensure that we do not keep that type of company.
That's right.
Because that could cost us our lives.
Put yourself at risk or on the line, truly. You know, gentlemen, I don't know if maybe this is perhaps a skipping's job that I'm about to ask, but as we near the holiday season, does the Central Investigation Department or Criminal Investigation Department have any sort of tips for the nation moving forward?
Yes, there are the normal tips, especially in the holiday season. Just be aware of your surroundings. Be careful who you hang out with, who you affiliate with. Just mainly be aware of your surroundings, and you'll be fine.
Thank you very much. Of course, these are the officers at the Criminal Investigation Department, the head of the Criminal Investigation Department, Philip Davis, and also Sergeant DeAndre Cadet. Gentlemen, I thank you both very, very much. Thank you, of course, as well to the Deputy Commissioner of Police and, of course, ASP Pinder, who came at the top of tonight's show talking about and giving some updates on some very key cases that many of you are interested in, and also helping the police. You know what, you know, Superintendent Davis, I mean, the police force has taken a hit and its image really just shattered recently. How do you think moving forward this can be repaired?
It can be repaired on a daily basis. The police is going to still be out there trying to do what we can to encourage persons to come forward to still see us, still come and talk with us. We're going to be still doing what we can in terms of solving the matters. Don't care who is involved, as Deputy Commissioner stated. Don't care who is involved. We would see that we would put whoever has to be put before the court, they'll be put before the court. That in itself alone will infuse the confidence that we want from the public.
I thank you once again, Superintendent Philip Davis and Sergeant DeAndre Cadet, the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigation Department, and of course, one of his senior team members joining him this evening. Thank you very much, and thanks, of course, to the Deputy Commissioner. Now, when we come back, we're going to shift gears and we're going to look at that troubling story and images. We're going to get to the bottom of what took place at the Princess Margaret Hospital today. It's all coming up for you right here on Beyond the Headlines. Stay close.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. Who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management. Nobody does it better.
What you doing? What you doing? Where you at? Where you at? We got a code. Got a code that you can crack. With Island Luck. Island Luck. You can win. You can win $1 million. 7 digits. 0 to 9. 0 to 9. You could redeem your promo points online. You should be guessing and not stressing. Could be $1 million in your possession. Don't need to question what's happening. We just made up some games to try to get you some money that'll make it alright. So if you wanna change your life, crack the code and stop joking. Crack the code and stop joking. Crack the code and stop joking, y'all. Crack the code and stop joking. Joking. If you guess the numbers right, no more stressing, we'll be ballin' tonight, baby. We can make your dreams come true. Crack the code today. Win $1 million only on Island Luck.
So you want a space.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, the Princess Margaret Hospital was really the center of attention today, and when is it not? But it had to do with that 8-year-old boy of special needs who has been in the news since last week. Initially, Beyond the Headlines certainly was not going to look into this case, but we understand today that the matter involving Cabinet Minister Miles LaRota, reportedly his grandson, and the grandmother of the boys, has a nurse at the Princess Margaret Hospital, has since been suspended. That happened late this afternoon, pending an investigation to perhaps some of the behavior that she exhibited on the ward where her grandson is still hospitalized. There's been allegations and charges, allegations and claims of abuse, physical abuse, neglect, and just other forms of abuse towards the special needs boy. Now, I spoke with Minister LaRota this afternoon. Quite a lengthy conversation I had with him, making him aware of some of the information that had come to me, and of course, he also spoke as a grandfather of what it is that he knew or knows. I'm going to share some of that in a little bit, but first, the grandmother was to have been here this evening. She was already confirmed, along with Maria Daxon, who was at the hospital this all day. In fact, she reached out to me from Princess Margaret Hospital, saying the grandmother wanted to come on with her, and she was going to accompany the grandmother and come here to the show to tell her story. But after she was suspended, she reportedly became very much overwhelmed emotionally and lost her voice. And so that is what took place, and that is why this evening she's not joining us. However, Maria Daxon is an attorney. She spent, again, the afternoon at Princess Margaret Hospital with this grandmother. Maria, what was that about? How did that go? And what brought you or took you to the Princess Margaret Hospital this afternoon?
Good evening, my fellow Bahamians. It's a pleasure again having me on this show. It was a sad day, Shanique, and to know what this grandmother was going through, it is very unacceptable. And what is so sad is that the grandmother has guardianship. You see this, Bahamians?
Right here.
Guardianship of both of these children. Her daughter, presently living in the United States of America, cannot come over because of the fact that she's getting her documents straight. She, in return, gave her mother a guardianship, Shanique, from 2023. Shanique, I want you to look at when this expired. Tell the Bahamian people, because I am so shocked. 2025.
Yes, the end of April 2025.
2025. The grandmother have guardianship. How is it that the father thinks that he have all the rights to his children after the grandmother said, I'm going to allow you to keep the children, to bond with the children. But all of a sudden now, the children are being abused.
Now this is
child abuse. Mm-hmm. Where is social service? Where is social service in all of this, Shanique?
Now, Maria, how do we know and this is why when you called and said the grandmother wanted to come on the show along with you, I was happy because I would have asked her direct questions. Because how do we know? We saw some photographs there. Justin, we have the photographs. We don't know when they were taken, how old the photographs are, or even if it's of the little boy in question. How do we know that the child is being abused? And I was told, as I said at the top of this segment, I spoke with Minister LaRota at length today, inviting him to come on, and he declined because he's been speaking out already. These are the photos that were sent and is making the rounds on social media. Cannot confirm whether or not it's of the little 8-year-old.
And look at that, my fellow Bahamians. Either somebody was choking that child or that child had a rope around its neck.
Maria, how can you confirm? I just want to know, how can you confirm this photo we're looking at is of the little boy?
Because of the fact, according to the mother in the United States of America, I spoke to her. Her other older children took those pictures of the boy when the boy was in the grandmother's care.
Let me bring the mother on right now.
Yes.
Good evening to you. Welcome to Be on the Headlines.
Good night, good night.
Hi. Now, your mother was supposed to have appeared on tonight's show, but unfortunately she could not join us. What can you tell us about the recent developments and even those photos that we see? Now, granted, you are not here in the Bahamas, but the photos that we have just looked at.
The photos in question are the kids. We just didn't show some of the faces of majority of those photos, but they could confirm if they do the investigation that they're all the kids. The date and time are actually on all the photos and videos of everything else. Now, pertaining to my mother, this has taken a toll on my mother because now my mother is feeling guilty of letting him even try to bond with the kids. She's now feeling responsible when it's not her fault because he's an able father. He should be able to take care of his kids.
Now, I understand the documents Maria showed in terms of the mother's rights, your mother's rights to have guardianship of the kids here in the Bahamas was granted by a U.S. court.
Correct. It was granted by a U.S. notary.
U.S. notary. I discussed this, Maria, and you
Yeah.
as an attorney can say that that has no jurisdiction here in the Bahamas, I'm told.
No. What is happening that's supposed to get registered at Foreign Affairs? They are giving you false information because I would find out from our government, right? When did that come up? Is it a PLP policy? Because we take documents from the United States all the time. The only difference is it hasn't been registered at Foreign Affairs, right? We send documents over there all the time. So I need to find out something from the Prime Minister. I need to find out something from the Honorable Miles Loroda. Are you trying to tell me and the Bahamian people that anybody would notarize a document in the United States of America by a legit notary? It's not recognized in this Bahamas?
When was the document prepared?
This document was prepared from last year.
Last year. Why hasn't it been recognized by Foreign Affairs?
Because of the fact she did not know that she needed to get that registered there. She always used this to get the children in school and for the children to come here. All of a sudden now, it is not recognized. Huh? We need to find out from our government, the PLP government, when since a document, a guardianship document, notarized in the United States of America is not recognized in the Bahamas.
Jade, are you there?
I'm listening.
Can you tell us when you suspect, we see the photos, when you suspect those photos were taken and when did this abuse, alleged abuse happen, physical abuse?
It's not alleged because I have evidence to prove it's not alleged. I'm saying it now because I keep hearing this alleged thing and it's getting me irate.
Thank you.
The abuse, to my knowledge, happened when I came out of when I won my court case. I was acquitted in September 2021. It was brought to my attention when I came out. When it first came out, I didn't say anything to the father. I went straight to his dad, Miles Loroda Sr. I have those as well. Mr. Loroda also went and said that, well, why I don't come for my kids? Mr. Loroda knew. I have that as well. Mr. Loroda knew because the hospital sent him documentation when he was dealing with a court case for PMH because of the negligence and abuse of my twins. So Mr. Loroda knew where I was.
Is this matter?
From I've been in America, my son has coded 13 different times. Mr. Loroda himself has not given me a phone call or visit. Miles Loroda Jr. himself has not even came as well in the 5 years of me having these kids.
I understand that your son, the one with special needs, is often in the hospital back and forth.
He is often in the hospital because he's not getting his meds. I can corroborate what I'm saying to you because I have doctor notes. I have medical stuff. He would not have these issues because he's supposed for the rest of his life that God give him, He's required, that's his treatment for his heart and lungs. He is required to remain on oxygen at all times. My son's heart and lungs don't function normally like how it's supposed to. He has pulmonary hypertension and he has heart failure. He has a hole in his heart. He has sleep apnea. When he eats solid foods, he inhales them in his lungs. My son takes steroids for his heart that requires to keep it pumping because it's so weak and it's 3-4 times swollen what it's supposed to be. He's required to stay on certain medications. He's not getting any.
How do you know he's not getting those medications?
Because my mom has to get these medications filled. And he tells my mom himself he can't afford to give the kids because the kids have to get medication every hour and hour. How can a regular Bahamian person work and they have to give medication to their sick child every hour and hour? Where's the medication? Can you show the medication bottles? The pharmacy can see if they're getting the medication filled.
So you're saying the medication is being filled but is not being administered?
He's not getting it filled. The only time it would get filled is if he called my mom to pick the kids up to go to an appointment and she get the medication filled. That's the only time he would get his medication, if he get the medication. When I send my son not only with an oxygen machine that the Heart Foundation from Joe DiMaggio Hospital give to me, also the CPAP machine. Can he even show those now?
Thank you.
No, he can't. He told my mom he lost them. He can't find them. My son now has to sit up just to sleep. You know what it is, Shanique, for you to sit up and sleep as a grown woman? Can you imagine a child? Or a black hole, a black teeth in his mouth? You as a grown woman cannot take that pain.
That's right.
How could a child who can't speak for himself take that pain? My mommy only show y'all the heel photos. She need to show y'all the raw photos with my son's actual face, with the handprint around his neck raw. My son can't even ask for a cup of water.
Oh, he cannot speak.
A cup of water?
When you say
you
he
can't
cannot
give my baby a cup of water. That's not Snake.
When you say he cannot ask for a cup of water, are you saying he is unable to speak that?
He is unable to speak. The medication require him to have triple the amount of water that me and you require to drink, because he constantly have to release fluids out of his heart. He can't even drink. Do you know what's LASIK? You take your time and look up what LASIK drug is. That's for his heart. You require to drink so much water, because you always thirsty. Any hypertension patient could tell you this. My son has hypertension in his heart and in his lungs. He can't even get a cup of water. He can't even ask for a cup of water.
Jade, what do you... Jade, as the mother, you cannot travel because you said that you are in the process of getting documentation. But what is it that you're going to do? If you feel as though that your sons, one who is disabled and another who is a regular child, both 8 years old, that if they are not being given the attention that they should be given, what are you going to do? Stay over there and just communicate like this? What are you hoping for, and what is it that you plan on doing?
Shanae, this thing go with sense. See, I got to talk like this now.
Yes, go talk.
If my son require medical attention that the Nassau Bahamas don't even have smart enough doctors to give him.
Thank you.
How can I come and get stuck if he need to come back here for the medical care? This goes with sin. I was forced. You hear me? I was forced. I have paperwork to back up everything that I'm saying to you. I was forced to take my son out of PMH because of the negligence and the abuse that he was getting, the mistreatment. I had to leave everything behind. Job, car, apartment, my 2 older children. I sacrificed by everything I had to come to America. Struggle with no family, no moral support, no financial support for myself for 5 years for the medical treatments for my son. I got my son in speech therapy, physical therapy. He was going to special school to help him. And all his foundations was helping my son because of his condition, him being a Down syndrome. God was blessing me right, left, and center with help for my son. I have doctors writing notes to Miss LaRota. telling me they're getting help for my son. Why must I struggle now to get back and get stuck? Shanique, there are voice notes of this man threatening me and my mother's life. If all of this evidence is in the news now on social media and nothing is being done, who the hell am I, stupid enough to try to come back talking about I fighting for my kids, for me to die?
Well, no, I'm saying for your son to be to live some kind of life, for him to be able to extend,
to be with my mom,
to extend his life. Well, I understand.
The law, I have the Bahamian law, the law book in my hand right now.
Yes.
I am an unwed mother.
That's
it
right.
Goes to my kids. I didn't write off no consent to him. He didn't carry me to no court for no consent for them.
Good.
My kids was not deported because everyone knows if you have any child crime, any abuse claim, any murder, any felony, they don't play. They send you back to the Bahamas. So if my kids was deported, why the hell I ain't deported?
Yes.
So they were not. They were not.
Ignorant people. You and a bunch of lies, and I don't like it. At this point now, I'm furious, and I cry shame on Mr. LaRota, because Mr. LaRota know the truth, and I know the truth. And I got paperwork. I got doctors who could vouch for me here to claim they speak to Mr. LaRota and email him letter.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jade. Minister LaRota, again, I spoke with him and invited him on the show. However, he told me that the matter is now in the police hands. Maria, anything else needs to happen with this matter? He said that this matter is being investigated now.
Mr. Fernando, Mr. Clayton Fernando, we need those children back in the grandmother's care. Or put the children in social service care. We want those children removed forthwith, Mr. Clayton Fernando. I am calling on the director of social service. Get those children out of this man's care. Are we going to have another suicide attempt in this country? Are we going to have that? What, another baby Bella? Another baby Bella? We can't have this in this country. We need this to get resolved, Mr. Fernando. Let the grandmother talk to the other twin. Why the grandmother cannot speak to the other twin? What is going on? This is unacceptable. These children have rights. They have a right. The grandmother have the right. And they say, I'm going to tell the U.S. government this. According to them, the PLP, New Day government, don't accept their documents.
Well, Maria, listen to me. Again,
that's what they said.
Again, Minister LaRota says that the matter is now before the police.
Police?
And so certainly the police is on it. Obviously, social services might get involved.
Fernando.
But they're going to investigate to see
Fernando.
exactly what is at play here.
Jade, no, Mr. Fernando.
Jade,
no,
Jade, continue to bring us up. Jade, are you there?
Yes, Nick, I'm trying to figure out, right? You're saying that Mr. LaRota have all this information. My mother's a grandmother too. Why they ain't inform her? Why they had surgery on my baby and they ain't saying nothing when I already had a lawsuit against them for mistreatment and negligence?
Yes, we didn't discuss
Why has no one did a wellness check on the other twin?
We didn't discuss the we didn't discuss the eye issue, but the photos with the eye. I understand that there was surgery a few days ago to assist with that eye infection. This is what
they
I was.
Told Miles Jr. told my mom that the baby ran into the dresser. And then Mr. LaRota said, Mr. Miles LaRota Sr. said, it's a hole in the eye. It's normal in Down syndrome babies. Please show me where. Because if I need to go over here and raise hell at CNN and BBC, I will. My husband, if he needs to get involved, he's willing now to get involved. And there's going to be some major things. Because at first I didn't ask for no one to get locked up. I didn't ask for no one to lose their seat. Now I want everyone to lose their job involved. Because if the whole country could come and cry for other people who adults and could fend for themselves, how no one could come cry for these babies.
Thank you.
Jade.
Thank you.
Jade, I thank you very much, Jade. We will stay in touch with you, obviously, and the news department will. Thank you for speaking with us this evening. Maria, thank you for joining us this evening. We will continue to monitor what's happening with this matter and what's going on. Again, it's a very sensitive issue that is playing out before us. That, by the way, the 8-year-old is still in hospital, right? He's hospitalized tonight. Yes.
And the other one is in school, and the grandmother cannot speak to the other grandson. Huh?
We're gonna, Maria, listen,
Yes.
thank you. Continue to keep us up to date. And Jay, and we will of course hear from Jade and the grandmother. We want to hear from the grandmother as well once she recovers her voice. Listen, I thank you all so much for tuning in this evening. We certainly enjoyed having you along, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. Once again, I extended an invitation to the minister. It's his son that is the father of these boys, and of course we weren't able to do that. But thank you very much for tuning in. Until tomorrow night, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.